How many of you read the book, Man's Search for Meaning? The reason this is important is because we are going to and have gone through many, many times where we are going through thresholds. And when we're in the middle of that threshold, we are either going into the threshold, we are in the threshold, or we are exiting the threshold. Every single time we go through this process, what ends up happening once we're on the other side of it is we have progressed, we have expanded, we have grown, we have learned lessons, which is the point of the lesson in the first place, right? So what's really important is for us to understand that when we're in difficulty, the thing that makes it a lot more simple is for us to recognize this is going to be difficult, right? Like there's certain things in life that are not like, holy crap. Think about what I'm about to tell you. A caterpillar creates a cocoon that it never leaves. A caterpillar creates a cocoon that it never leaves. So in order for that caterpillar to be able to leave that cocoon, it has to let go of who it is. It has to metamorphosize into being a butterfly. And then the butterfly is actually what it is able to get out of the cocoon that the caterpillar created, right? So when we are in the middle of this threshold, we are going to have voices that says, you're not able to do this. Like, why is it so hard? Like, who do you think you are? What made you so great? And then we're going to go to our environment, and our environment is going to support us in a way that makes sense for them to be at the level that they're at. What I just told you there is hugely important to understand, right? So think about this. If you want to be wealthy, this is one of the things that stops more people. Like I used to train for network marketing companies. I say that often, but it's important, right? Like I train for network marketing companies and really getting people to understand what is it that keeps them from stepping in the success that they also desperately wanted, is that they want the easier way out, right? So the best way to do it is like, oh, okay, cool. Well, so-and-so gets up there and talks about his wonderful testimony of how he ended up blowing up in his business. And then when he does, everybody else thinks that he can go talk to his 5 best friends and then being able to make massive things happen, right? And so what ends up happening is we go to our environment at the level of financial intelligence that we have, and they don't see how important this is, right? Not sure what you mean by that, Michael. Appreciate you being here, though. So where is your environment keeping you? How is your environment supporting you, right? And so this whole conversation is going to be around one of the most challenging experiences I've ever had in my life. And that was me almost ending my sister's life in a car accident that was the result of me drinking and driving, right? And so what's important about understanding that is, how do you make sense of almost ending your sister's life? How do you make sense of almost ending your sister's life? Right. And what that has done is it's given me 3 years, 3 years of being able to, thanks, brother. Appreciate that, Ortis. It's given me 3 decades of literally learning how to transcend that story, right? Like really getting into what does it mean for me to let go of that narrative that happened when I had like one of the most incredible traumatic experiences in my life. Like, how do you let that stuff go, right? And really being able to transcend that, because that's the very things that's going to keep you into creating the life that you want to create. Because the things that you hold on to, whether you're conscious of them or not, are the very things that are going to create the resistance in you expanding and becoming a whole other person, right? And if you want to judge other people, just understand that that is a reflection of you. How you judge other people, you are at a subconscious level judging yourself. And that is going to impact your ability when it comes time for you to expand, right? Because when I went bald, like when I started going bald in my mid-20s, I was suicidal, right? Because I didn't realize that I have about a 12-inch scar that goes down the back of my neck that they had to operate on my neck as a result of that car accident. Now, see, I looked at that and said, my hair covered up my shame, because when people asked me where did that scar come from, it triggered all the guilt and shame that I had from that car accident, right? Now, do you think all of this impacted my ability to stand into who I am today and being able to push my mission out there and to support people in transcending what it is that they want to transcend? I promise you, my friends, it absolutely did. Because see, guilt will tell us, like, who do you think you are? Like, guilt is all about blame. Shame is all about the humiliation that we experience. And see, if we do not transcend these emotional things that are trapped within inside of us, then we are going to continually attract things in our life that support us in transcending that, right? And so, what I want to really convey here is, what are the things in your life that you do not want to look at? What are the things that in your life that has happened that has caused you guilt and shame? Right. And see, this is, and I know I say this often, but I'm not here to motivate anybody. I'm here to support people in transcending and stepping into their greatness. Right. And sometimes that takes a really hard look at looking at yourself in the mirror. Right. Because your ego is not interested in changing. Right. The conversations that you have with yourself are interested in only continuing to have those conversations with you. And they are going to fight with everything that they got when you start communicating to them in a different way. Right? Your excuses only are interested in staying alive. Your excuses are only interested in keeping you at the level that you're at so that you are having this relationship with them. Just understand that, friends. And I get it. Like, there's no judgment. I've walked this path, right? Excuses are nothing more than very, very, very expensive beliefs, right? And so when we step out into an unknown area, all the things that have kept us playing at the level before we stepped out into this unknown area are going to get animated, right? Like, we do not understand the change that we're attached to until we start moving, right? Well, I don't have any change. I'm not afraid of anything. Oh, okay, cool. Well, then you do you, and I'm going to do me. Right? That's our arrogance. And our arrogance shows up like, who am I to believe that I am worth anything? Right? That's our arrogance, right? And a lot of people think it's humble, but most people show up with false humility, and which is our arrogance, right? Which is through our guilt and your shame. Like, I'm not worthy. The Bible says I'm not worthy. I don't know what Bible you're reading. Right? And so, looking at, and see, it's funny, somebody commented on there, Jesus died for us. Okay, cool. Yep, got it out. Are you letting your ego die so that you can step into your greatness and be a representative of what light really means, just like Jesus did? Right? What if Jesus is a model that you could emulate and become, like Jesus said, you will do greater things than I, right? But see, people use scripture rather than, it's the living word. It's the living word, right? And so what does it mean to you, right? And no value judgment in any of it, right? It just is what it is, and understanding that levels of understanding what causes people to fight. It's not people. Right. And so understanding that there are people on this conversation that have had very unpleasant experiences with people that said they're Christians. You're looking at one of them. Right. So we've got to keep in touch with what is going on with the pulse of humanity. One is, like, let's just have a real conversation. The churches are going south. Most churches are dying radically. How do I know this? Because I coach pastors. Right. I have been very involved in creating men's ministries and stuff like that. And I talked with a buddy of mine a couple of years ago. This was before COVID hit. And he said 85% of churches are dwindling in their size. 85%, right? Because they're not willing to be relevant and let go of the model that keeps people in guilt. People don't want to feel guilty anymore. Right. And that worked back in the medieval times. That worked back in, right. But people are waking up. And see, now some people, I get it. When you start leaving your model of the understanding, it's going to create things within yourself of going, well, what's more important to me? Me believing and exploring who I am. And friends, do not put words in my mouth. I am not saying I am anti-Bible at all. No. That's not what I'm saying at all. Right. I am all about experiencing God at a very, very high level. Right. The word religion literally means to rebind. That's what that word really means, right? So I'm here to support you, and Helen is really awesome at this as well, is that being able to walk, here's a truth bomb. The Bible is not God. And there was a time when people of God started moving into people of the book, right? Like I've done my research, friends. I've walked this journey out. I just did not come up with this and go, oh, you know what? That sounds like a really cool, neat philosophy. Let's start talking about it, right? When I started understanding linguistics and really understanding how words are used and started understanding the evolutionary process of how we've came to be who we are and levels of dynamics and consciousness and awareness and all these different things, I started having way different experiences with God, right? Way different experiences with God. And so this has all been part of me turning my pain into purpose, right? Like I was raised in a very religious place and received lots of religious abuse. And so what are the clients that I end up attracting? Most of the clients I end up attracting are people that have gone through significant religious abuse, right? God is not interested in squandering you. God is not interested in holding you down, right? Mankind is, right? And really looking at what are the things that are holding you back? Like, what does God mean to you? Not what does the Bible say about God, right? What does God mean to you, right? Like, and my case in point, I can give the Bible to 100 people. I can give the Bible to 100 people and not give them any past knowledge of the Bible or anything like that. And guess what we're going to get? We're going to get 100 different interpretations of the Bible. So here's my question. Which one of those is true? Right? It's not what to believe, friends. It's how to believe. And see, so many people, and I just had this conversation with one of my clients, and I love this guy. He's amazing. Super excited to see what he's going to create in the challenge. So we just did the challenge a couple of weeks ago. And man, what it's going to come out of that's going to be amazing. I'm super. Helen's going to be one that's going to be in there, and she's going to create some amazing things. So is this guy. It's going to be really cool to watch this unfold. But really looking at the words we use are not the item or the experience they represent. Words are a very limited level of communication. They're only 7% of communication, right? So that means 93% of it is unconscious or subconscious, right? And yet we think like Paul prayed to be prayed for to understand the mystery of the gospel. This was before the gospel was even written. Like, think about that. Think about that. Okay. And then we as humans think like, okay, cool. I got this. I know what it says. I'm willing to kill other people because I know what it means and what it says. That's interesting. Paul didn't even know. It's interesting, right? Just think about that. And the reason I'm sharing all this is because so many things out there are causing division. Darkness is all about division. Darkness is all about division. Because if we can divide them, we can conquer them, right? Like, just think about some of the things that we say and really put meat to it so that you can understand what it is that's actually being transpired within yourself, right? I love God. I love the Bible. I love people with all different walks, right? Everybody's on a journey. Everybody is on a journey, right? And like, there are all kinds of times in my life that I thought I knew something and I just kept working and kept going and kept growing, and boom, lo and behold, I discovered something that I wasn't able to understand at that point in my life, right? So what is it? What do you believe God wants for you? I think that's a really rich question. What has been your journey with God? What is your relationship with God? Right? I get it. Like, there's a reason the universe language is becoming more and more predominant, because there's been a lot of people out there that do not show up like God asked us to show up. Like, they'd be very clear here. Jesus said, they will know you're my disciples by the way you treat one another, by how you love one another, not by how you judge them, not by how self-righteous you get, not by any of the other stuff. It's by how much you love one another. That's how they'll know you're my disciples. And like, I've been part of it as well, my friends. Like, I've been part of it as well. I have judged people. I've walked the walk. I've done it. Caused lots of pain for other people, right? Because that's how I felt I had needed to be at that point in my life. So what would happen if you let go of all the pain that you carried inside of you? What would happen if you let go of all the limitations that you have inside of yourself? Is it possible? Without a doubt, you're looking at somebody that's done it. You're looking at somebody that does it for lots of other people and lots of other clients and students and things like that. And when you let go of these things, it's amazing what you're able to create. It's amazing what you're able to create. See, friends, like, literally, you can change your past. You can change your past. It is possible, right? Now, you might not believe that it's possible, and that's just because you have a certain level of what you believe, whether it is or not. But I'm here to tell you it is. right? Like I support people in rewriting their past, right? It is possible. That's why I'm a timeline therapist. I'm a hypnotherapist. Like I'm NLP, been studying it since 1990. Like that, all this stuff is really being able to rewrite the narratives that hold you back so that you can unlock what it is that's inside of you that's calling you forward. Like every time I do one of these conversations, I love it. Like I get all kinds of messages and texts and stuff like that. And what's happening is people are being stirred inside and there's something within them that's being called forward. But see, because we live in a society that's been indoctrinated with, well, if you step outside of the bounds, you fail. And if you fail, that means you are rejected, right? So this becomes a primal fear, right? One of our most primal fears is being separated from our tribe. And we've been raised in a system that says if you don't meet our standards, then you fail. Then you fail. And most people don't understand. See, now think about what I said. Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. Well, the doubt is nobody's going to like me. So I'm not even going to step up and take the shot. I'm not even going to put myself out there because the doubt tells you that you are going to fail. And see, the greatest thing, people want guarantees. People want guarantees. I can show you how to guarantee whatever it is that you want to create, and you be able to own that and step into that power, right? I can guarantee you what it is that causes you all the pain in your world. I can guarantee you that. I can guarantee you that you are the one that's going to manufacture the narrative of whatever the experience is. I can guarantee you that, right? But I can also guarantee you that if you don't move, you're going to keep getting the same experiences. You don't change the internal program. You're just going to keep reliving the life the same day over day after day after day. So I say, like, by the time we're 35 years old, 90% of our life is unconscious. That means we have 40 to 60,000 thoughts a day. That means tomorrow, if you don't start getting conscious about your unconscious, you are going to repeat 90% of the thoughts that you had today and yesterday. Guarantee it, right? So you get to change your autonomic nervous system, right? And it's your nervous system that lights up when you have trauma trapped inside of your body that says, remember when this happened? We don't want to fail, because when we fail, that means that we get rejected and we get humiliated. No, that's your opportunity to transcend it. That's your opportunity to transcend it. See, when you put money into expanding who you are, it's your greatest investment. You will never, ever, ever see. Most people look at it as a cost. Like if I became homeless, I know the very first bill that I would play, very first thing that I would invest into, that'd be a coach. Very first thing, because I understand that I am the common denominator in my life. Like how I show up in life is going to determine what I attract in my life. And so the opportunity for you is to look at what keeps you from stepping in your greatness. What experience did you have as a child that caused you an emotional response? See, when we can show up in our sensory modality means what we see, what we hear, what we feel, what we smell, and what we taste. Our sensory modality, light all that up, that determines the vibration frequency that we send out there, right? And then that's what we pull back into our lives. So when we know how to do this and control it, right? Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I'm still getting used to them. So when we get intentional about that, like you ask most people, what is it they want in their life? The very first thing they start saying is what they don't want in their life, right? And guess what? They're focusing on what they don't want. And guess what they keep attracting? What they don't want. Your unconscious and subconscious mind does not negate things positive or negative, right? Like I want to lose weight. Okay, guess what you're going to focus on? Weight. I want to get out of debt. Guess what you're going to focus on? More debt, right? And our ego does not want to be wrong. Our ego does not want to be wrong. Right? So we invest all this stuff into it because if I'm wrong, based on the system that we were raised in, guess what that means? It means rejection. So how much do you think that impacts your ability to step into the unknown? Oh, massively, massively, right? And so is what based on self-confidence? So self-confidence is pretty easy to get into, right? So think about like, you're going down the road and all of a sudden this radio song comes on the radio, or somebody plays this song and it takes you right back to this time. Like all the sensory modality lights up again. It's like, wow, that's an anchor, right? It's an auditory anchor, right? Or like my sense, I think it's Gus's story. Is it Gus's story that sent the limitations? No, the limitations is based on subconscious programs that play within ourselves, right? Now, you can focus on confidence and step into different parts of who you are and access different parts of who you are so that you move through that. Because again, it comes back to, do I trust myself when I step out into the unknown, right? And if we don't trust ourselves, we're going to access programs that we had when we were children in being raised in the environment that we were raised in, right? So looking at like, doing the auditory anchor thing, like that song comes on and puts you in that state, right? What are the things that you can do to get you into that resourceful state? It's not that we are unresourceful. It's that we get into states that makes us believe that we're not resourceful. Case in point, go to the grocery store hungry. You are in a very unresourceful state and you make very inappropriate choices, right? But we do the same thing with relationships. I don't want to be lonely. I don't want to face my fear of abandonment. Nobody loves me, like all this stuff that from the wounds created, and then we get into relationships that confirm it. It's just how it works, right? So understand, turning pain into purpose is about you understanding that you are going to keep going through the trainings until you get the lessons that were meant for you, right? And just understand, some of them are going to be very difficult, and the more you step into that and embrace that, the more easy, the less resistance you have around that. Right? So just look at what is it that you can create in your life? What do you want to create in your life? And get super clear about that, because your attention is your life force, and what you focus on is going to expand. And if you're expanding on nothing, it's like the old saying goes, the idle mind is the devil's playground, right? You become very suggestible and very influenced very easily. You become very vulnerable if you do not know what it is that you clearly want to create. Okay, because it's in the confusion that all the limiting stuff comes up with inside of us. But when we get clear, we get committed, and this is where I'm going, and this is where I'm putting my life force, amazing things happen. Okay, so I appreciate everybody being here. I got to run. Love each and every one of you. And thank you so much, everybody over here at the Potential Zone group. Get over to TikTok, watch my stuff over there. Everybody on TikTok, go join Potential Zone group, because I got amazing things going on there as well. Appreciate, love everybody. Have an amazing evening, and I appreciate you sharing your time with me. I will see you on Thursday. TikTok, I'll see you tomorrow.